these 21 days of breakthrough, thinking, what are the things that I struggle with most? And I'm not a very peaceful person. I don't know if there's anyone else here who struggles with that, but I tend to dwell on things in my inner man. It's difficult for me to be peaceful, to feel at peace. I wrestle with things all the time. So, like you can see, if you see my obsession with getting rid of poverty, it's like it's not just a good idea to me. I'm angry about it all the time, and it infuriates me in the same way. Like if someone makes me upset, then I struggle to concentrate. I struggle, and I've always been like that. I've always been very obsessive, almost. Is anybody else like that? It's like if something bugs you, it bugs you. It really, really bugs you. If someone bugs you, or a particular, like racism, makes me so angry. And I don't even. People aren't racist towards me, but it angers me because I hate injustice. And we live in a country where it's rife. It's like, for me, when I think about someone who's racist, I think the worst thoughts that you can think. I don't think like a doctor thinks about a patient. I think about how an enemy thinks about an enemy, how a soldier thinks about an enemy. And it's bad because those thoughts are not godly, they're not peaceable, they're not right, so I have to go to God and say, Lord, please help me, because your word says that peacemakers are called sons of God, and I'm not a peacemaker. I'm not naturally a peacemaker. I'm naturally an angry person. I know God uses that part of me to stimulate my desire to really hammer poverty and keep pushing and keep our ministry right on the cutting edge, growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. But the problem is, it doesn't create a lot of peace within me. And you might have a situation in your life, or many situations, where you want a certain level of success, or you want to earn a certain amount of money, or you want to drive a certain car, or you want to have a certain girl or guy, and you just drive towards it. You aren't at a state of peace. You're always fighting and driving, striving and driving. It must have been 15 years ago or something. These two lady prophets, I still remember them. They gave us a tape. They recorded this prophetic word on one of those tape recorder jobbies that you hold and then you push. Not the small one, the huge thing. And my wife and I had to figure out how we're going to listen to this, because it was CDs back then. I didn't have tape play in our car. Luckily, we had this black boombox thing, this old thing that we pulled out and blew the dust off and shoved the tape in there and listened to the prophetic word. And the lady said she saw this about me, that I was like a ox in the field whipping itself. It's like a ox in the field whipping itself. And I think we often do that to ourselves. We set goals, or we're angry at something or someone, and then we start to just whip ourselves. You can't sleep, you can't think properly, you just obsess about that thing. And let me tell you what the Bible says about it, and I'll share with you how that changed my life. Because I tell you what, I'm not naturally a peaceful person. Psalm 119. It says, "Great peace have those who love your law. Nothing can make them stumble." When it comes to law and grace, when it comes to Old Covenant, New Covenant, because people like to mention often in the Old Testament there was the Old Covenant, the New Testament is the New Covenant. I don't believe that. I believe in fulfilled covenant. I believe that there was law in the Old Testament, but in the New Testament there's still law. It's just the law of Jesus. Jesus came and he reinterpreted the Torah, the Old Testament, and now it's his law. And great peace of those who love your law. Nothing can make them stumble. So Jesus says, if you love me, keep my commands, keep my commandments. It says, a new law I give to you, a new command, that you love one another. And then he's got all these other instructions. And I realized that if I don't just perceive what Jesus says as a kind thing to do, but I actually perceive the words of Jesus as a command. If he tells me to love people, it's going to take me a few days, but I've got to fight my inner man, take every thought captive, and fall in love with his law. The law that says love your enemies, the law that says be kind to those who mistreat you. In James chapter 3 verse 18, it says, a harvest of righteousness is sown in peace by those who make peace. So when you sow peace, you're going to reap peace. You've got to sow it. You've got to sow this seed of peace. And I'll tell you what that looks like in a moment. 1 Corinthians 14 verse 33 says the opposite of peace is confusion. It says God is not a God of confusion, but of peace. As in all the churches have to operate in peace. In Psalm 34, it says opposite of peace is evil. Seek evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it. And then finally, there's lots and lots of scriptures on peace, but Romans 8 verse 6 says, for to set the mind on the flesh is death, but to set the mind on the spirit is life and peace. So, if the opposite of peace is confusion, then what is peace? Peace is order. It's order in your mind. And when you perceive peace as a command, it's like God saying you must live peaceably with your brothers and sisters. When you perceive it as it's not an option. You perceive it as you must do this. It's an act of obedience. Then you're able to override that thing inside of you that wants to wrestle and fight and worry. You're able to switch that thing off and say, hey, we are submitting to God. Because the opposite of peace is sin. I'm in sin right now when I'm not actively pursuing peace. That's why peacemakers are called the sons of God, because they actively fight for peace, fight within themselves first. And how do you do that? How do you fight for peace? How do you get peace when you're wrestling within yourself, when you're frustrated and angry? Well, as with most things, God's plan has always been mankind. Remember, there's two kinds of man. There's man and woe man. and God's plan has always been man and woe man. And to find that peace, you must find good people, kind people, hunt them down, like I shared last night. The answer to dealing with horrible people is finding wonderful people. The answer to walking out of Egypt is to go with Joshua and Caleb. Walking out of the desert. You follow Moses into the desert, but you follow someone else into battle. It's like political parties. So we know South Africa, our governing party is the ANC, they're a revolutionary party. So they will lead you out of Egypt into the desert, but you'll need someone else to lead you into prosperity. You need a different party. Either ANC has to become a different party, a different way of operating, or you got to find a new Joshua and Caleb. It was Moses led them out of the desert, and then it's like the ANC will lead the people in the desert till the ANC is out of power, unless they change, which they won't, because they're a revolutionary party. So you need someone else. In the same way, we need someone else in our lives to lead us into a place of peace. And sometimes we need someone who will lead us into a place of obedience. Everybody says it's always a someone. It's always a someone. God's plan is always a someone. A someone. And I have many someones in my life who I celebrate, who are able to lead me to a place of peace. And I follow it like a command. So if my command is to be peaceable, if my command is to be a person of peace, then I consider it part of my command to find peacemakers, people who are peaceable, people who will lead me to peace. Okay, right. So Shanae says, what happens when it's a person that's causing you to almost lose your peace? When you've tried to keep the peace, but it's like they're looking for ways to disrupt your peace. Well, that's just it, Shanae. People who are authors of confusion, either for the rest of their lives or for that moment in their lives until they've repented and turned to God, they'll stay a thorn in your side. and that means you need allies to help you maintain them, because some people are easy to love and other people you have to manage. Whiners, complainers, ungrateful, always got a problem, always got an issue, lazy, wicked, like they are heavy to carry, heavy. They disrupt your peace all the time because they devils, they're just devils. Let's say this together. Kind people are heaven. Selfish people are hell. And the thing about hellish people is they always believe they're okay, because they got no problem having a problem. They got no problem stealing your peace. They got no problem like little rats gnawing at a vine, like gnawing at your peace. Who knows what I'm talking about? It's like nothing you can do can make them happy. They just gnaw, like knock. And then inside of you, there's this battle that just, and you're like, Lord, please help me. And then often confusion starts to set down upon you. And the moment you feel your peace is being affected, ask Lord to show you the someones. Ask Lord to send you the someones, those people who are people of peace, who are blessings to you, who are blessings to the body of Christ, who are blessings in your life. And they will give you the strength to tolerate, to cover a multitude of sin, to show grace, to show mercy. It's good people are such a blessing to you. That's why I tell you, celebrate them. Like really celebrate good people. I often get pulled into these debates lately since COVID came. I don't really try and answer, but I do every now and then. They say, do we really need to go to church to be a Christian? I don't know, man, but what I can tell you is you really need to go and find a good group of people who can help you maintain your peace, can help you maintain your joy. Because the more you by yourself, the more you with yourself. And sometimes yourself is the problem. I certainly have that problem. The more I spend time with me, the more my inner thoughts dominate me. So I have to pray a lot, and I have to at least see good people from time to time. It's very easy to become overwhelmed by your own inner thoughts. It's very easy to, when one person rules, one person, one political party, one king, unless it's Jesus, you got troubles. Putin's been ruling for like 20 years there, and you see how that drives a guy nuts. Russia did a lot for the liberation movement in South Africa, but now Ukraine, who's basically the same as the ANC was, just trying to have democracy. And yes, there's a lot of wickedness happening there, NATO's involvement, America's involvement, but we're just talking about the people of Ukraine. We're not talking about the 1% wicked people there. And you'll see someone's been ruling Russia for 20 years. The Russians don't want to go to war. The Russian army doesn't want to go to war. Have you seen how the Russian soldiers are handing their tanks over to the Ukrainian army? They literally drive with convoys, park the tanks there, and just walk out and say, "Comrade." It's crazy. You see all the Russian tanks turning around and firing on their own armies. Because one guy running that nation, it's the same as you running your own life. After a while you go crazy. There's confusion there because you don't have the input of other wisdom there. Putin is such a great example of that. Have you seen, I don't know if anybody follows that, but he's gone so crazy the past 5 years or so. All these people must sit down. He has these long tables. Has anybody seen those photos? Long tables, and then everybody sits down there, and then he sits over here by himself. So imagine we have a meeting, and then I'm telling you, it's about the size of this room, and there's a long table. He sits over here. Then anybody he's talking to must sit down there. He's like really gone cuckoo, and that's what happens to us. If you don't have people to protect your inner peace, if it's all about you, if you think you can take care of you, you are so wrong. We're not designed that way. We are designed as companions to have companions. And God's plan has always been man. It's always someone, a people, a group of people. So, do we have to go to church to be Christians? I don't think the goal is really to be classified as anything, to be classified as a Christian. I think the goal is to have peace and to have joy. I think the goal is to have the strength to do what is right, to do what is righteous. And if we don't have the right people around us, here's a question. Remember in your youth when you were young, let's say a crowd of kids is running towards a fight. Did you notice how you'd get dragged into that crowd? It's like very rare for someone. Usually, I don't know, like some people just stand there while the crowd's running past them. But when you're in your teens, early teens, or even a little bit younger, when the crowd's running that way, you just run with the crowd. Like everyone's throwing stones over there. What are we throwing stones at? No, we don't. Then we all just start throwing stones over there. So when I grew up, Afrikaans schools and English schools, man, we fought each other. Some of the whole school, all going to go meet on the rugby field and we're going to hit each other. don't know why we did that stuff. But I mean, I remember the one day I'm walking. I was in Graham College and there was an Afrikaans school called PJ Oudtshoorn, and it's rugby day. You know, now especially on rugby day, because it's easy to tell who's who. You know, when you go and watch soccer or whatever, they will make you got to wear your school uniform. So we're wearing our school uniform to watch a rugby. That school's wearing their school uniform to watch rugby. And then we just hear one of the prefects say, we're going behind the grandstands. And there's going to be a fight. Move. Now, what do I know? I'm in standard 6. What is that? Grade 8? There's going to be big guys behind that thing there. What do I know? I'm just being told what to do, and I just move with the crowd. Off we go. And then there's just fists flying and people hitting each other. And I still remember thinking a bit later on in life, when there's school rugby, all the headmasters should actually just make everybody have white shirts and grey pants. Then you don't know who speaks English and who speaks Afrikaans. But now you recognize each other, blazers, ties. I mean, and it's so easy to be swept along by the crowd, by other people's lack of peace. That's why you need to find communities, churches, friendship circles who are able to sweep you along on the tide of peace, on a tide of joy and fulfillment. So when you sit with whiners and complainers, let me give you a money back guarantee. If you hang out with people who are ungrateful and complain, you will die in the desert. You will lose your job. You will lose your friends. Good people will avoid you. Nobody wants to be around you. You are in a gang, you'll end up having to justify that gang. You'll end up stuck with that gang, married to that gang. When you find yourself, especially, let's say you're a member of staff and you're drinking tea and you're drinking tea there, let's say you're working in the kitchen and someone says, in this ministry, they do a lot of fundraising, but I think it all goes to them. Have you seen that pastor's house? You have to distance yourself from that person so quickly. For the record, our house is completely sponsored. We didn't spend 20 cents on our house. Even the furniture in our house is sponsored. Even the clothing in my cupboard is sponsored. I haven't spent a cent on myself, not on anything, in 6.5 years. I haven't had more than 50 Rand in my bank account for 6.5 years. Have you seen that Mandy's car? Ministry didn't buy that car. Bitcoin did. That was just Mandy making a clever, and you know what she did? She sold her black car to the ministry. So she didn't sell her car to buy that one. She sold her car, and then God made a way for her to get that one. So when you look at what we have, no one stole anything. No one took anything. We didn't take anything. It's just that God blessed us. Don't know why. I don't think we deserve it, but that's the awesome thing about serving God. But you see, what people will do is they'll say, I mean, I literally have heard people, I've heard with my own ears that people say, the money, the pastor stands up there and every day is asking for money, but I don't see any of it going into the community. Like, have you lost your mind? We take personal loans when there's not enough money in the account to get food to people. Then my wife and I pay it off. We take those inflatables that you see, those are personal loans, still paying it off. The soccer field, that inflatable soccer thing, when the other inflatables were done, because we can't convince anybody out there to buy inflatables for the kids. To the world out there, a township kid is just something you come and take a photo with and then leave. They don't really want to help. They'll get a bag of Millie Meal, but why have fun? You know what I hear all the time? And I hear this more from black people than I do from white, but a lot of white people, they say, you can't feed everybody. Yeah? Look, you see my body language. Can't feed everybody. You know? You mustn't. Why are you going there and feed people and have fun with them? You're distracting them from the gospel. That's really what people believe. And it's not a racist thing. It's just, you can go to white squatter camps, like anywhere where there's people who are very, very poor. Then you ask people to help you and they say, no, the Bible doesn't say you must go in there and feed. That's humanism. They literally tell me, that's humanism. It's a focus on the goodness of humanity, not on the life-changing power of the blood of Jesus Christ. And I think, damn, do you need like a headphone to tell you to breathe in, breathe out? Is that how dumb you are? Are your lungs going to stop if something's not going? Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Now slow your breathing. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Now stop breathing for a while. You're doing great. That's great. You just keep, that's excellent. Just stop breathing. Yes. Good job. People are so selfish. So that's why we just realize, what is the difference between a kid in a township and your own kid? You buy toys for your own kids, so why can't they have toys? It's actually last week, yes, I was like weeping while I was praying because I was visualizing like all these toys. I thought, we need to take toys into the township. I was like, we need a truckload of little dinky cars and dolls, And then I was like, yes. And then I jump on the internet to see what it costs. Then I just started crying. So I thought, no one's going to give me that much money. Because we can't give one kid a dinky toy and not another one a dinky toy. Have you seen how much those things cost? Jeez, like. So I was like, okay, Lord, my faith list is a bit heavy at the moment. We've still got to build the infrastructure so we can feed more kids. I said, Lord, please send a champion who's got faith for an 8-ton truck full of little dinky toys and dolls. All the little boys get like, not one dinky, I want to give them each like 20. I'm talking about those dinky cars. Oh, they're still called dinky cars. Those small little cars, and you sit in the dirt and you make a town. And like, so why can't the kids in squatter camps have that? And if you drop off a truckload and everybody gets 20, they aren't going to steal each other's cars. They'll probably swap them. Like abundance. You give them each like 4 dolls. 5 dolls. Is anybody out there who's got a heart to help me do some fundraising for some dollies? Isn't there someone, aren't there toy companies that'll send us stuff, man? But anyway, getting back to peace. There's people who are going to erode your peace. They're going to turn you against leaders. They're going to turn you against friends. They're going to turn you against, they'll put an earworm in you. So I don't like it when people tell me what other people are doing wrong. I hate it because I'm an obsessive, compulsive blowtorch. And the answer is always someone. If you're struggling with peace today, I pray that God will put a lot of someones in your life, a lot of good people in your life, and that you'd spend time with an army of people who you can listen to, so that you're not offended all the time. Let me give you a secret that nobody knows. Are you ready? There's a position that you might desire. Maybe you work in one department and you want to be in another department. Maybe you work in one field of something, but you actually want to work somewhere else. to tell you a secret. God will move you when it's safe for those people to have you there. When you've changed inside and become peaceable, He will shift you out of where you are to where you want to be. He kept Joseph in prison until prison had taught Joseph how to be safe for the Pharaoh and for the people who'd be around him. You will be where you are until you stop being who you are. I'm going to be myself and no one's going to tell me to be different. Fine. Stay in prison then. Stay doing what you hate. God will move you to where you want to be, where you love to be, when it's safe for the people where you'd like to go. Because often you're not safe. Do you know that speaking your mind is the worst possible thing a human being can do? Is to speak God's mind, not our own. And God likes it when we speak peace. That place that you want to be requires a version of you that is safe for people. You think, okay, well, I just need to go there because I want to be in that department because I'm good at it. Nobody cares about what you're good at. They care about how you make them feel. And the more you level up, the more mature the environment is that you aspire to. You better believe that when you get to that environment, the reason it's a mature environment is because no one's gossiping there. No one wants to hear what you have to say about other people there. No one wants to hear what you think is wrong with your company or your ministry there. No one's interested. They don't want to hear what you think is wrong with your wife or your husband up at that level. The level above that's even worse, harder to achieve, because just above that, people not only don't want to hear what's wrong, they only want to hear what's right. You consistently have to speak about what problems need to be solved. You go up a level, another level, there's no optimists or pessimists there. There's only problem solvers. You guys know what an optimist and a pessimist is. Optimist is always like, everything's going to be fine, we're okay. And the pessimist is, we're going to die. Pessimist is all the negative in the world. Optimist sees all the positive. The higher the ranking you go, the more peaceful people are in how they deal with things. They might not be peaceful inside. And then the level above that is utter chaos. It's where you find people like me who are touchy, freak out at the smallest thing, and you have to be able to be around people like that, vision carriers who are responsible. You see, there's a level where people are responsible for paying the salaries, and then there's a level where people are responsible for bringing in the money so that salaries can be paid. That level up there requires you to be at such peace that you're able to cover somebody's sin. Do you know how much of my sin our executive team covers? People like Yaku and Coach Cole and Kathy and Madalisha. If you know me, you will think that guy is nuts. I've always specialized in serving those people, those guys right at the top, because they can freak out around me. The wheels can fall off their bus. I don't judge them. I run to try and figure out how I can bring them peace. See, if you are unable to walk in peace yourself, you'll never get to the top. You'll never get close to people at the top. You'll always be gossiping about them. If you think the worst sin possible here is that us possibly stealing money for our lifestyle or whatever, you haven't even come close. If you hang out with me for like 1 hour, you'll think this guy is a heathen. Because you know how much pressure there is. Me airing my dirty laundry again. But do you know how much pressure there is? Anybody who's listening here, who's run something, has there anybody in this room been responsible for bringing in salaries to pay other people? Not really, yeah. Usually there's quite a few people, but like if you run your own business. Derek, haven't you tried to start a business before too, eh? Not really. Yeah, no, he's wise. Derek's really wise, yeah? You've had your own business. You had to pay some salaries. Eh? Lots. Yeah. Yeah, and that's like you lie there at night when it's month end. Just trusting God that everything will go well. And you're always you're just constantly aware of the pressure that's on you. I've always loved serving people who are at the top of the authority structure, because I've always loved carrying other people's peace. My attitude was always, how can I help? I never spoke out of the boardroom. Now, wherever you are, you might be down somewhere in authority, wondering, how do I climb? Peace. You have to learn how to be a person of peace. Every time, when we consider someone for a shift in our ministry, remember, there's like 150 employees now, and it's growing, and the departments are growing, and we're looking for champions all the time. And then I'll ask Madalisha, so we're considering that person, that person, that person. The first question that I ask is how they're doing on their gossip, how they're doing on their complaining. If people are considered for raises and stuff, if they complain at all, I don't want to give them raises, because I don't really want them in the structure, because I can't trust them up at higher levels of authority. Are you learning something? Any corporate environment you're in, you think it's the snakes that rise to the top. It's usually the peacemakers that rise. They might be terrible at their job, but they're good at bringing peace. Haven't you wondered why in government they often promote people who are terrible at their work? Because that person is so stressed at their level of work, all they want is someone like Pastor Bongani around them who's just going to sort out their problems for them and bring them peace. They don't care if you're good at your job or not. They just want someone around them who's peaceful. Peacemakers always get promoted, always. Sons of God always have favor wherever they go. But gossipers who haven't learned to control their inner storms, you will die in the desert. You'll stay in jail, in the prison of your current circumstance. If you're not willing to change who you are, you will never change where you are. How do I know this? Because I was a gossiper. I was a whiner and a complainer. I was a pro, man. I was a sulker. Any sulkers in a room? Yo, yo, yo. You know what sulking is there? It's like, can't believe you said that about me. Fine. Why? Yes, I was a sulker. The blood would drain out of my face. Like, now you could see I'm angry. And boy, did I gossip. You know, the way I would run this place. Turns out the way I run anything's exactly like my mentors used to run it. Just panicking day to day, trying to survive, living off prayer. The opposite of peace is confusion. If I've got peacemakers around me, there's order. If I've got gossipers around me, there's confusion. If I've got people who constantly tell me that guy said this, and that guy did this, and that guy's unhappy about that. So that's why I ask the HODs, please tell people, don't come tell me anything negative ever. You've got HODs for that, you've got counselors for that, you've got Coach Cole for that, you've got Jared for that, you got Fani for that, you got Pastor Bongani for that, you got protect my peace. You want to hang out with the mayor? Protect the mayor's peace. Did you receive something this morning? Is it a profound revelation, or like, man, that's not true, because I know how to rise to power. Hard work, my friend. It's not about looking after people's peace. That's trash. That's like hippie nonsense. Come teach me nonsense like that. I'll tell you the truth. I read in a book, it says if you want to rise to power, You know, many times also people I'm like, what are you talking about? If you're willing to protect people's peace around you and you pursue people of peace, you will live a life of peace. You'll have turmoil inside of you like the rest of us, but you'll be surrounded by people who help you get rid of that turmoil. The confusion will go. So old Derek sitting there is my hero, man. I tell you. What was it, 3 years ago? When did those guys want to kill you? 3 or 4 years? 3 years. Yeah. These guys just want to whine and complain. And then Derek tells them, no, man, let's just work. Because they want to slow down the work. They want to do this. Derek's like, no, man. And then when we found out, we went for those guys. I'll tell you, I had to let Jaden and them handle it, because if I got involved, I would have come with a shambok. If anybody in our ministry, just for the record, if anybody in our ministry tells you to slow down your work, go fetch a shambok. We will back you 100%. I'll bail you out of prison myself, and I'll give you a raise. So we're not working for money here. All our work, whether we're cleaning this place or building or doing something, every little thing we do is another kid that we can feed, another kid that we can help. Like we're busy building a creche over there, and we're busy building a storehouse just above it so we can have more food to feed more kids. So when somebody says, you know, we must slow down because bada-ba, bada-ba-da-ba, I'm like, yes, dudes. About 5 years ago, a group of people said, no, we're going to do a slowdown. So I said, oh no, we're not going to do a slowdown. We're doing a stop. I just fired everyone. Just me in a caravan. Said, if you don't care about the kids, you're in the wrong place here. That's my goal with everybody in our ministry, is to help you realize that though, praise God, we can get a bit of money, it's about those children. If it's not about the children to you, I invite you in the name of Jesus. I eject you out of this ministry. Go away. If you can't think of those children, please go somewhere else. Please. I beg you. If it's just about money, about a salary, there's no difference between you and a donkey. You understand? A donkey works for carrots too. Have some kind of vision, some drive. It's not about me, and I expect this, and I expect that. Well, I expect you to go somewhere else. Please, I beg you. If it's not about this ministry, is about those kids in the squatter camps, those kids over there who got nothing, no future. And I don't want them to end up being like you, with your whining and complaining and negativity and ungratefulness, lack of gratitude. You affect their peace, you affect our peace. Lord, just give us a someone. So what is the answer if your peace isn't lacquer? Get a someone. So if Jeremiah comes in and the car's dirty or whatever, and then he sees me go, "Argh," and Jeremiah just needs to go hang out with a someone. Then he'll feel better. But don't worry, Jeremiah, don't take me seriously. I'm usually just tired. But I struggle with bad stewardship. So if you take one of the vehicles, clean it, please. Would you do that? If the carpet's full of mud when you finished with it? If you caught a lift in the vehicle and you put mud in the vehicle? If you caught a ride in the bus and you put mud in the bus, just volunteer to say, okay, lunchtime, I'm just going to help clean. That's a secret. If you want to know how to get your own car, look after somebody else's. That was free. Anyway, God bless you all. I hope you're learning. If you want to be promoted, learn to become a someone of peace. If you want to experience the next level, learn to be someone of peace. If any business or corporate place or ministry, you want to climb the ladder, learn to love what they love. Here it's about the kids. Focus on those kids. Pray for those kids. Join our heart for those kids. You'll get promoted. You'll get more of everything. God will do it. Amen. Peace be upon you. Have a wonderful potato. Le toodles.